So if you're thinking of moving to Italy, I have some book recommendations that might just help. However, they are not your average kind of books. These are the first 4 books that I have read of 2022, and actually there is a lesson that I have taken from each and every one of them that is incredibly applicable if you're thinking of moving to Italy. Let's get into the video. So the first book that I read of 2022 was this beast, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Honestly, out of all of the books that I'm about to recommend to you, this one had the most profound effect on me, and I highly recommend it if you've never read it before. Now, what did I learn from this book? Predominantly, the power of compound interest and how little actions repeated have a greater effect in the long run than trying to do big grandiose gestures. Now, how I think this can help you if you are thinking of moving to Italy is how you use your time. So when you decide that you want to relocate to another country, it feels incredibly daunting and it feels like there are 1,000,001 things that you need to be doing. However, if you were to break those tasks down into 15-minute chunks every single day for 7 days, say, that is 1 hour and 45 minutes that you have spent dedicated to moving to Italy. And if you total that up over the course of a month, that is around 5 hours and 48 minutes of dedicated work towards moving to Italy. Now, that's a lot considering that is just for 15 minutes every single day. And if you're really honest with yourself, like life gets in the way, I know this, but we can all find 15 minutes. And I use this a lot, and how this has helped me a lot has been in terms of reading. So last year, I am very embarrassed to admit that I barely read 1 book, although it was fantastic, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Now, I'm a self-confessed bookworm, and this was really, really sad for me to admit, but life got in the way. However, this year I wanted to change that, and it was having read this book that I realised what I needed to do, and it is quite simply dedicate 15 minutes every single day to read it. Since I've done that, I am now just about finishing the 4th book of this year. So in that moment, 15 minutes doesn't feel a lot, but when you compound it over the course of a week and a month, you can see just how much you can achieve. And that's why I think this is a powerful lesson that you can take from this book and dedicate it towards your move to Italy. In that moment that you spend every single day, 15 minutes, it may not seem like you're achieving very much, but if you dedicate your goals and perhaps you focus on work options on one day, or accommodation, or networking with other people on another day, over the course of a week and month, you will start to see results. And what at the beginning felt like a really intense, overwhelming task suddenly becomes something you are achieving very easily. So yes, this is a very, very profound book. So the second book that I recommend if you're thinking of moving to Italy is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is the second book that I've read of this year, and honestly, what I took from this book was like, wow, this is so true. So the lesson I really absorbed from this book is that people are more interested in their own personal gain than they are in you and what you have to bring to the table. So this is fundamental to any aspect of life, but particularly when it comes to looking for work in Italy. There are lots of websites and advice columns that tell you to introduce yourself, to present yourself to potential companies and talk about all your achievements. But fundamentally, the bottom line, the crux of it is this. The company wants to know how you are going to benefit them. They are not interested in your abilities or your qualifications unless you can demonstrate how that is going to help them as a company achieve their goals. We are all intrinsically interested in our own outcomes as opposed to what other people may or may not be doing. So really useful to know when it comes to sending out emails and making initial contact with companies if you're looking for work here in Italy. Present yourself with them in mind. Talk to that company in a way that helps them to understand how you can be of benefit to their organisation, and to show them how what you can bring to the table can really help their organisation to thrive and prosper and do well. Because essentially that is how you are going to persuade and influence people to hire you, to want to work with you, to want to engage with you, more so than just talking all about yourself. Now, the third book that I recommend if you're thinking of moving to Italy is Happy Sexy Millionaire by Steven Bartlett. Now, the one lesson that I took from this book, which I think it will be very applicable to you, is knowing when to quit. Now, Steven Bartlett talks about the question that he asks himself every time he's in a situation where he's unsure whether or not he should continue. And it quite simply is this: is the challenge greater than the reward? I shall repeat, is the challenge greater than the reward? And the reason he asks himself this is because if the challenge is greater than the reward, then maybe it's time to reassess things. Is it still worth pursuing what it is that you want to do? Or is it time to change things up a little bit and take a different path? However, on the flip side of it, if the reward is greater than the challenge, then it's about having the ability to look at the end goal, the direction of where you're going, rather than being stuck in the nitty-gritty of the moment. And it's having the ability to realise that the situation you're in at the moment is not permanent, everything is transient, and that essentially the outcome is going to be of far more benefit than whatever inconvenience you may be experiencing in the interim period. Now, the reason I say that this is really relevant if you're thinking of moving to Italy is quite simply because, trust me, you will have moments where you question your sanity and where you think, have I really made the right decision? Is Italy really going to be the country for me? And it is in those moments that you need to ask yourself this question, and you need to be real with yourself. Is the challenge greater than the reward? Now, I can apply this to my own situation. Like, I love living here. It's been 4 years this year. You all know this if you've been following my channel for some time. However, the language for me is the biggest challenge about living here in Italy. And, you know, it was only when I recently returned home to London, in fact, you can check out the playlist here with all my London videos, that I really noticed just how much it has impacted my life. Like, you know, to be surrounded again with people that I could easily communicate with, it took me a while to get used to that, which is crazy. But I was literally going into shops in London, being like, oh my God, okay, what do I have to say? And then I was like, Claire, they speak English. Hello. Like, literally, I've been so conditioned for like 4 years to be in this like panic state every time I have to communicate, that to be able to do it freely felt completely novel to me. And that is what I mean. Like, for me though, that challenge, as great as it may seem, is insignificant compared to the result. The result for me of living in Italy, all that I can achieve, the person that I can become, like, a challenge seems, you know, insignificant in comparison to all that can come on the back of continuing to live in Italy. So, very fundamental, I would suggest, and probably this should be the crux of everything that you do when it comes to moving to Italy, like something you need to be considering always, I would suggest. And the fourth and final book that I recommend in this video, which is actually the book I'm just about to finish at the moment, is called The Courage to be Disliked by, bear with me, these are beautiful names, but I need to pronounce them right, Fumitake Koga and Ichiro Kashimi. I hope I sounded those right. What I like about this book is that it focuses on Adlerian psychology and the principle of separation of tasks. Now, essentially what that means is that each of us as individuals have our own responsibilities and tasks that we have control over. Anything outside of that is a task belonging to another person. And the idea is that you should only focus on your own tasks and not get involved with the tasks that really and truly are the responsibility of others. Now, this book is a little bit controversial, I'm not going to lie. There are many opinions expressed in this book that people may not agree with. But when it comes to moving to Italy, which is predominantly the focus of this video, I think this principle can help you a lot, because whether you realise it or not, you are going to come across a person or people who are going to express some kind of surprise or disdain towards your decision to move to Italy. And this is where this principle of the separation of tasks can really help you. And it can help you because you have to understand and realise that how that other person behaves, the things that they may say, the opinions they express, are their tasks. It's their responsibility. It's nothing that you can interfere with and try to control and try to change. You can only focus in on the responsibilities and tasks that you have control over. How other people think and feel is outside of your control, and therefore it is not your task to be involved in. And this is a principle that I think if you can adopt when it comes to moving to Italy, it can help you a lot. So I hope these book recommendations have helped. I think you'll like this video right here, and check out my other content as well. And if you have any other recommendations you want to share, comment below. I'd love to know. Ciao for now.